Welcome, everybody, back to the Nuggets of Gold podcast and YouTube channel. Today, it's just me. I'm going to be talking about what I think is the biggest matchup in the Seahawks 49ers game. Now, both these teams actually coming in pretty banged up on each side. And then for the 49ers, they're trying to fight to get to 3-1. Seahawks are trying to get back to 500 after a rough start to the year. Matchup, I think there's a lot of fascinating matchups in this game. However, I want to highlight one specific guy on the 49ers defense that is going to need to make a huge difference this week. So any Seahawks fans watching, any 49er fans that don't know, the Niners secondary is super banged up right now. Kaywon Williams, who is the 49ers starting nickel corner, is going to be out. Josh Norman, who has been playing mostly as the number 2 corner, is doubtful. So the two guys that are going to be playing outside, I would think this is what I'm hoping. We're not going to really know until the first snap of the game, but I'm hoping that Emmanuel Mosley and Diamador Lenore are the two outside corners, and then inside they have Buster Skrine. Now, the reason I like that, Buster Skrine actually just signed, but the reason I like that combo is because I don't like the matchup of Dre Kirkpatrick versus Mr. Tyler Lockett in this game. If you guys remember, I think Seahawks fans will definitely remember this one. Last year against the Cardinals, the game where Tyler Lockett had 200 yards and 3 touchdowns, he was primarily guarded by Dre Kirkpatrick. So I do not want to see that. I bring up these injuries. Also, Tyler Lockett is questionable. I'm expecting him to play. So for the Seahawks, everyone knows DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett. Freddie Swain is probably going to be the number 3 option this weekend. But it's mostly about those two guys on the offensive side. The reason why there is one specific player that is going to make a huge difference on the 49ers is because of all these injuries, and really because of a massive mismatch for the 49ers in their secondary against those two, star receivers. Jimmy Ward needs to ball out this weekend. We really need to see him have a huge game. Now, Jimmy Ward had a game last year where he absolutely took over and was, the MVP, the star MVP, whatever you want to say, of that game. That was against the Rams in a really big matchup where I think a lot of people expected the Rams to win. This weekend, you're going to be so shorthanded at corner. Potentially, if one of those corners were to go down, you would be in a horrible spot, like an absolutely terrible spot. Jimmy Ward is going to have to go out there. He's going to guard Tyler Lockett. He's going to guard DK Metcalf. He's going to be that single safety over the top. We've seen him flourish in all 3 of those roles. He has a ton of experience at outside corner, at inside in this nickel, and at that single high safety spot. So they're going to need to use him all over the field. D'Amico's going to need to really show like, hey, I can coach the secondary up, as well as Robert Saleh did, because you've seen a lot of miscommunication and just guys running wide open in the back end. The 49ers need Jimmy Ward to go out there and play really well. If he's manned up on Tyler Lockett, he needs to hold his own. Same for DK Metcalf, because we are going to see him manned up on those guys. Gerald Everett's actually also out for the Seahawks, or I think he's going to be out. I think he's questionable. No, he's out. So Will Dissly's going to be at tight end. I think there's a chance that we see Jimmy Ward go out there and guard Will Dissly a little bit, though I think that I would rather have, because he's such a great cover guy, I'd rather have him on Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf. But when he's not guarding those guys, he needs to be huge. He needs to not make a single mistake in that single high spot, because these corners are going to get burned. It's going to happen. You have Russell Wilson, who's able to extend plays at a high level. You are going to have guys running open downfield. On the back end, Jimmy Ward needs to be an absolute monster. We saw him have I thought it was an illegal hit last weekend. Doesn't go down as an illegal hit. He did lead with his shoulder. Don't really want to see that again. That's not something I want to see. I don't like to see injuries, especially head and neck injuries and stuff like that. But he needs to be really good across the middle. And we've seen him. He's been great this year. Like against the Eagles, they had a ton of deep balls out that he had great PBUs on or was there on. We need to see him have an absolutely amazing performance if the 49ers are going to hold their own defensively. So that's my matchup of the week for this game. I think it's going to be huge. I think that if you look at it and you go, wow, like say Jimmy Ward goes out, like I don't want to see this happen, but say he goes out in the first quarter with like an ankle sprain, like the 49ers are probably going to lose. If he goes out there and he is able to hold his own in the back end, and if he's manned up in a couple 3rd and 5s on Tyler Lockett and he has a couple PBUs and whatnot, that could mean a huge difference in this game. And defensively, like that is the biggest part of this game, because the 49ers are going to win in the trenches. Their defensive line is going to do well against the Seahawks offensive line. Big question, can you actually get Russell Wilson to the ground? That's always the big question when you play the Seahawks. But for the secondary, Jimmy Ward needs to be a man on a mission. He needs to play super, super well. And he needs to flourish this week. And he needs to have the best game of his year. So that's going to do it for today. I'm hoping to keep doing these like Saturday matchups videos. But thank you all for listening. Tomorrow, I will come back, give you a quick injury report when that comes out, and just my quick thoughts going into the game based on those injuries. Yesterday, I had a predictions video come out. My YouTube's all jacked up, so like it totally screwed up my channel, but it should still be up there. I don't know. Sometimes they delete and sometimes they like don't post. It's very strange, but thank you all for listening, and I will talk to you very soon.